Thank you so much, Ms. Markham, for that introduction. Good morning, distinguished guests, faculty members, and of course, the class of 2024. Before we begin our speech today, we would like to thank everyone who has gathered here. Whether you've flown hundreds of miles, gotten stuck in ECP traffic, or are watching the ceremony online. Today, we all share the same goal, to celebrate the wonderful group of people who make up this cohort. We feel tremendous honor and pride to be standing up here today representing you all. Whether you joined UWC in the past 2 years or were a part of the starting 25, every single person sitting here today has played an important role in shaping the sense of unity that lies in every corner of our grade. When the two of us first began writing this speech, we wanted to capture the connectedness of the class of 2024 by taking you with us on a passage through time starting on August 16th, 2010.
On that very first Monday, 14 years ago, Helena and I walked into our K1 class wearing our tiny blue shirts that were then oversized on us, tightly holding on to our parents' hands, afraid to enter the seemingly intimidating environment that was kindergarten. We soon befriended one another, despite the separation issues Ms. Markham claims I had, and it was only weeks later that Helena and I realized we were actually next-door neighbors. As two sad, lonesome only children, we channeled our excitement of this knowledge into handwritten letters that we would leave in each other's mailboxes. We called ourselves the P-Pals, pretending we were two pen pals writing to one another from faraway fantasy worlds. Even though we were living only a few meters apart, creating an imaginary distance that we were still able to communicate through seemed exhilarating to our younger selves and only strengthened the sense of connectedness that we had to each other.
While you might not have shared the exact same experience as Viveca and I, a few of us sitting here today may recall spending our infant school years racing around the playground on tricycles, throwing sand at our 5-year-old enemies, and cramming our most prized possessions into cubbyholes, colorful Smiggle backpacks, and blue folders that I know Brendan Tay still has. Meanwhile, the big kids danced in Culturama, ran GC stalls at the family festival. We watched them in awe, wondering just how long it would be until we followed in their footsteps. Graduating from grade 1 into primary school brought us one step closer into independence. We performed in arts festivals, played with slime and fidget spinners, and carried clipboards on our field trips to reservoirs, the Yakult factory, and Kidzania. Arms outstretched, we high-fived the graduating grade 12s, contemplating whether we'd be sobbing or smiling during our own grand walk.
Middle school, also known as the awkward stage for most of us, comprised 3 years in which we started to leave our years of childhood behind us. Our shiny new computers soon became tools for distraction. "Can you send me the shell shock code?" was a common phrase that was thrown around the middle school food tech room. Carrying our newfound sense of responsibility in our Sodexo cards, we soon learned to not sit directly underneath the canteen pipes and that our hoodie pockets were just the right size to cram a sub or an oolong tea inside. We asked ourselves important questions. Why is there an aquarium in the canteen? And who decided that life skills should be a subject? Many of us joined the graduating grade 12s in their celebrations, dancing around the high school office and Santai back when the prank day regulations were not this strict, anxiously waiting for our turn to pull pranks, tie-dye our uniforms, and go on the slip and slide.
After graduating middle school on a laggy Zoom call, many of us did not think that our COVID-impacted school years would ever go back to normal. Our dark blue shirts reflected the sense of isolation we felt between us and the rest of the grade. We were divided by angry shouts from safe distance officers, the choice of which friend in our group of 3 we would sit with, and of course, whether or not our hallway crush was mask fishing us. Our daily scan-ins to school held a sense of irony. Even though we were using the Trace Together app, we did not feel a togetherness with the rest of our grade. But still, we did our best to fill in the gaps that were our 8th grade semi-formal, countless outdoor ed trips, concerts, holidays, and hangouts with our entire friend group. We exchanged hopes that by grade 12, we'd be able to graduate without restrictions. It was a difficult time for many of us, but looking back, also a challenge we should be incredibly proud that we were able to overcome. We learned to appreciate the little things, laying a stronger foundation for us to cherish our last 2 years of high school with a stronger sense of gratitude.
This brings us to the IB. After years of waiting, we were finally the leading grade, the grade that our younger selves had always looked up to and aspired to be. We wore our white shirts with so much pride that we eventually decided that they were far too precious and valuable, that they should be stored away in the back of our closets and replaced with non-school policy hoodies and gray CSAC and gym leader shirts. Sorry, Miss Markham and Dr. Allen. All of us, except the double science students, relinquished the privilege of having 3.5 free blocks. We spent these key times in the library completing important tasks, such as sharing gossip with our friends in the silent study room, complaining about the noisy middle schoolers, and of course, stalking our classmates' and teachers' LinkedIns.
Still, we got our wishes, restrictionless. Our grade was given the opportunity to gradually reconnect and develop our sense of community after 2.5 years. At the beginning of the year, we saw the return of CSAC and drama productions with a physical audience. We fought over rehearsal spaces for Culturama, and again a few months later for Kahani. In April, many of us took out our week of frustration and mental breakdowns over IA Day by elbowing our way to the front of the photo booth line at prom. Then, despite our English teachers telling us not to memorize our IO scripts word for word, the first week of June saw many of us pacing around classrooms, script in hand, doing the exact opposite of what we were told. And then, in the last few weeks of grade 11, we flew, drove, hiked, and biked our way through Project Week.
Transitioning from a relaxing summer holiday into hell term of grade 12 was hectic to say the least. Many of us balanced writing uni applications, essays, and our EEs, resulting in attendance dropping to an all-time low. Writing our math IAs taught us to see the real-world application of the subject. And so we noticed the exponential growth in Turnitin scores, the inflation of Santai prices, and the number of "Are you in school today?" messages from Ray.
As the rest of the year turned into a blur of final deadlines and nostalgia, we began reminiscing over our firsts and lasts, wondering at which point in time our reading logs became managed back submissions, when our Smiggle backpacks became that one long chomp bag that everyone seems to have, and when our lunchboxes turned into Grab food orders, which, for Jokum, still hasn't changed. It felt like only a few weeks passed before the countdown board was up with that horrendously drawn Phineas and Ferb 24. It was a strange feeling coming into school each day to watch this number get smaller and smaller, because we were reminded that soon we'd be leaving our time at UWC behind, not knowing when or if we'd revisit these memories in the same capacity again.
Looking back, it seems like just yesterday that we were setting up pranks with our friends and classmates on that very last Thursday afternoon. I remember watching a whole group of people struggle to put up the black tarp for the Plaza Club, and another group sweating while stringing the line of balloons from B Block to the Globe. But nevertheless, our efforts paid off, and I would say that our prank day was a huge success. Less than 24 hours later, we wore our tie-dye shirts, taking turns to spray teachers and then our friends with water guns, spent time on the slip and slide, and then got water all over DJ Hazza's computer and DJ set. That afternoon, we found ourselves in the black box for our final assembly. The combination of Gerald and the Ducksters' emotional last performance, Ganesh's moving speech, our lack of sleep, and the 1 minute of the senior interview that we were able to watch brought many of us to tears. Tears that only multiplied the minute we heard that all too familiar drumbeat, signaling that our time at East Campus had come to a close. Walking through the corridors, stairwells, and former classrooms that once welcomed our younger selves brought us on a physical journey across our time at UWC. We were reminded not only of the memories we've created at this college, but also the lasting impact that we will have on it.
When thinking about the class of 2024's legacy, many of our teachers have labeled us as the most loved grade. Admittedly, following the class of 2023, it wasn't a daunting standard to uphold. But nevertheless, our grade has truly embodied what it means to be compassionate, kind, and caring individuals. Beyond the academic and extracurricular achievements, it is the genuine connections that we have formed with our peers and teachers that have set us apart. The community that we have created is not just a part of our past, but a legacy that will transcend place and time, reminding us that we are greater than something, we are part of something greater than ourselves. When we leave this hall today, we step into the world, a world brimming with uncertainty where the path forward is shrouded in what-ifs. Yet, amidst this uncertainty lies the opportunity for growth. If we've learned anything from our time at UWC, it is in the face of adversity and the unknown where we discover our resilience, potential, and capability.
Thinking back to the story of P-Pals, for the little versions of Helena and I, the world we lived in seemed so much smaller than it is for us today. We were trapped in a tiny bubble that was our condo, in which living one block away from one another seemed like an enormous distance to us. Soon, Helena and I will both embark on our individual journeys across the globe, and this time, we'll be separated by more than just a condo block. In a few days, many of us sitting here today will be forced to embrace this same distance too. Weekly hangouts will turn into yearly meetups. Hours of lunchtime conversation will become 10-minute phone calls, and lifelong memories will turn into pages in our yearbook. It is in times like these that it is important for us to remember to stay connected to one another. Although this may not be in the form of handwritten letters, we need to recognize the privilege we have in this moment, to be in a room surrounded by the people that we love and care about. Looking into the crowd right now, I see countless friendships, memories, and connections that have made UWC feel like a home. And though our interactions may become less frequent as the years pass, our shared journeys as classmates, friends, and fellow graduates will forever tie us together to this community.
Finally, we want to acknowledge the people who have made this journey possible. To Ms. Markham, you truly are the gem of our grade. We're so grateful. We are so grateful for all that you have endured from us, for advocating and staying by our side no matter what. There is truly no one that would take this much time and effort to get to know each and every one of their students as much as you have. Next, to our teachers and mentors, thank you for being patient as we navigated the ups and downs of the IB. The passion towards your subjects has made coming into class each day a little less dreadful. To our families, whose unwavering love, support, and bank accounts have guided us through the challenges and hardships of our time at UWC. And lastly, to our friends, the class of 2024. Thank you for the countless memories, laughter, and pep talks right before exams. You are what made our time here special.
Congratulations, class of 2024. We can't wait to see what you accomplish.